Tansy, my doggy, he's very happy at the moment because I'm home a lot more than I used to be. These stories actually happened about 2,000 years ago. Jesus wanted these stories to be written down in his book because they're very, very important. This is his book. It's called the Bible. They are so important, these stories, because we often forget that Jesus is stronger than us and he's always with us. Jesus' disciples, like us, had struggled to understand that Jesus was in control, even when they thought that everything was out of control. Our story today is set on a nice day by Lake Galilee. This lake was so big and deep, it was a bit like the sea in this picture. Jesus wanted to cross the lake, so he got on his disciples' fishing boat with them to get to the other side. It was a very, very long crossing. I went on a boat to Ireland last year. It was a very long way. Have you ever been on a boat before? I fell asleep on my boat, but thankfully, when I woke up, the sea was calm and we arrived safely. It wasn't like this, however, when the disciples crossed the lake. At first, it was calm, and Jesus went to sleep. The disciples were used to sailing on the lake because it was their job. They were fishermen. They were even used to rain and wind, a bit like us in Lancashire. But what happened on this day was very, very different. It started to spit, and then it rained and rained and rained. Then the wind became so strong. When the wind is strong like this, the waves get very, very, very big. They were so big that the waves came over the boat. Do you know what happens if the waves come over the boat? That's right. If there's so much water, it can sink the boat. They tried everything to keep the boat afloat. They got some buckets to tip out the water, but it was no good because as soon as the water was tipped out of the boat, more water came into the boat. Can you imagine how the disciples' faith felt? Which face do you think they had? You're right. They were very, very scared. Eventually, when they decided they couldn't do anything else and they thought they were going to die, they decided to wake Jesus up. When they woke him up, they said, "Jesus, don't you care if we all drown?" Jesus, with 2 words, said,
"Be calm. Be still."
Guess what happened? Yes, you're right. The boat was sailing on a calm sea again. The disciples were amazed and afraid that Jesus had the power to stop the wind and the waves. But Jesus asked his disciples,
"Why were you so afraid? Have you no faith?"
The reason why Jesus wanted us to hear about this story 2,000 years later is that we will have things happen in our lives that we can't control. Jesus wants us to remember that he is with us in everything. Everything that happens to us in our lives. The little things and the big things. If we're afraid, we can ask him to be with us, and he will give us his peace. Have you ever been afraid and you've had a funny feeling in your tummy? Well, when we have that peace, Jesus takes that funny feeling away. I'm sorry that we can't see you at church for a few weeks, but the great thing is that Jesus is everywhere, even in your house right now. If you ever need him, ask him to be with you, and he will give you his peace. I'm going to say goodbye now, but I'll be back next week with another story about Jesus. Next time you're in the bath, make some big waves and see how these waves can make someone outside the bath get wet. Make sure you stop though when a grown-up tells you to. And remember that no wave is too big for Jesus to stop. Bye now!